Tiny Bottles, the series where I explore my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. One of the things I'm learning with this project is that sometimes the hunt is much more interesting than what's in the bottle. Case in point, bottle number 3, Hot Shot Tropical Fruit Schnapps. I couldn't find much about Hot Shot online. There was an old magazine ad for sale on eBay, introducing it as a new product and dated as 1987. There were vintage t-shirts and denim jackets with the logo from the 90s, and there were 5 recipes calling for it in the 1988 edition of the Mr. Boston Official Bartender's Guide. These include substituting it for triple sec to make a hot shot margarita and mixing it equal parts with orange juice for a suntan, which is, peak 1980s mixology. Looking for information led me down some really interesting paths. The bottle label says it's made at Hot Shot Distillery in Owensboro, Kentucky. And I was able to find a business listing for 2 locations by that name, one in Kentucky and one in Missouri. Eventually, I ended up at the website of the North Carolina Alcohol Control Commission, which told me that Hot Shot had been produced at least until 2015, with the distiller now listed as Luxco. Luxco is still around today, but its website is smartly playing up its bourbon brands and not its prior association with Hot Shot Tropical Fruit Schnapps. So I hit the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website. There I learned that the original owner of the trademark was one Glenmore Distillery based in Owensboro, Kentucky. Now things got really interesting. Glenmore Distillery, they have a long and storied history. They start life as the R. Monarch Distillery in 1849. And then as Glenmore Distillery, they continued to operate straight through Prohibition because they were one of the so-called Big Six. So these are the distilleries that were allowed to continue to operate to sell whiskey for medicinal purposes. And this gave them a huge competitive advantage after repeal. Between their own Kentucky Tavern brand and their purchase of Yellowstone bourbon in 1944, by 1955, they had made 2 million bottles of bourbon. In 1973, the Glenmore Distillery stopped production, but they continued to be used for bottling and warehousing for their subsidiaries. And one of those was Mr. Boston, which explains those 5 recipes in 1988. Alas, in 1991, the company was purchased by Guinness, who promptly shut it down and sold off a bunch of the brands, apparently including Hot Shot, to a company now known as Luxco. But before that happened, sometime between 1987 and 1991, they also made my tiny bottle of Hot Shot Tropical Fruit Schnapps. And when I pulled it out of a bin last month, I had no idea I would end up connecting it all the way back to Prohibition. Did you enjoy this video? Please like or comment below. Want to see more? Be sure to subscribe. Also, check out mytinybottles.com. There's deeper dives into all the bottles, there's blogs, there's podcasts, and follow me on your socials. Cheers.